I'm Bobby Jones, and you're watching Positive Talk with Mike.
Praise God bless you, sir. Let's open up with a word of prayer. Father God, in the name of Jesus.
Yes, you were to redeem.
Welcome to the new show with Positive Talk with Mike. Stay tuned, you're going to love the show. Dr. Rupman, welcome to our show, Positive Talk with Mike. Sir, could you tell me about the conference you guys got going on this year?
All right, thank you, Pastor Mike. So this is our second annual Urban Planning Conference at Alumni A&M. So we did this last year, and then of course we will do it again next year. So we like to use this conference as our platform to engage all these professionals, all these scholars, particularly on planning issues.
Planning as far as City of Huntsville?
City of Huntsville, State of Alabama, around the world too. Because like this year we have presentation about planning in India.
So the planning that you guys are planning is for the homeless situation here, and how do we address the homeless part of the planning? Is that part of the strategy?
That's correct. That's correct. So I'm very pleased that you are a part of that one of the sessions in the conference, because the theme of our conference is about social justice.
Social justice. So
I see as a homeless is a problem, our problem that need to be resolved, but by us, not just only by one or two particular group. So that's why we like to have this conference as a platform, like I said, to engage with all the stakeholders, how we address homelessness in Huntsville.
Okay. Sir, certainly we thank you for being on the Positive Talk with Mike show, and I look forward to spending some more time with you, because we're going to be doing some things about homelessness here in Huntsville.
Thank you very much. God bless. Pleasure.
Aaliyah Riley, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
You guys are putting on a conference regarding Homeless Coalition or homelessness in Huntsville. Could you tell me what made you guys do something like this?
So we pretty much did a panel on homelessness because, for one, as a graduate student, that is our research, and also we see that every basic level of need, it starts with housing. It starts with I need to have something to eat. I need to feel comfortable with where I'm at in order for me to have the best quality of life. That starts with having a home. And so when we talk about homelessness within our panel within this conference on environmental and social justice, we see the importance of how are we really servicing these people, and are we caring for everyone that we say that we actually care about. Planning starts with the individual, and also planning also starts with, hey, do I have a place to be?
Okay. So with I see Huntsville growing, and is there concern as far as the homeless population being pushed out because of the new development that needs to come into Huntsville?
Yes, there has been voiced of concern, of course, by many constituents who participate in servicing the homeless population, and that concern is voiced, I'm sure, at the community level, since they do a lot of community groups and community engagement groups with those organizations that provide, but really just talking to those homeless populations and service providers and making sure, hey, well, what are we actually doing, instead of complaining about, hey, this may push out these people, what are those solutions, was even one of the topics that we talked about within our panel on homelessness.
Okay. I certainly want to thank you for being on the Positive Talk with Mike show.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
It's Ms. Sade King, and I have a panel before us, and we're going to be talking about, I'm going to introduce Ms. Will, we're going to be talking about homelessness in the Huntsville MSA, so the metropolitan area, its solutions and practices. So on this panel we have Mr. Tim Miller, Tim Davis. See, that's why I was going to have my phone on, because I'm going to make a change. Okay. He is the director of First Stop. Mr. Tim Davis and not Mr. Tim Miller. All right, Mr. Keisha Coleman Lacey. She is a senior planner for the city of Huntsville. And we also have with us Ms. Danielle Thomas from Huntsville Housing Authority. I'm actually going to stand over them when I talk about them, so they know I'm behind them. Mr. Jeremy Blair, he's the CEO of Wellstone Behavioral Health, as well as Michael McDougall. See how I say say it wrong. All right? That's why I got to be over him so he'll whisper the right thing, and then I'll say it in the mic. Is that right? Okay. And he is from Growing in God's Grace Ministries. All right, so this is our panel. And Ms. Sharday is going to kind of introduce the area, and then we're going to go straight into questions. And at the end, you all will get an opportunity to ask them questions as well. If you feel like you want to come a little closer, feel free to do so that we can hear you when we ask questions. All right.
So good morning, everyone. As she stated, I am Sharday King. I am a second-year grad student in the Urban and Regional Planning Department, as well as a graduate research assistant. For the panel here today, we'll be focusing on homelessness in the Huntsville MSA, focusing mainly on solutions and practices as far as what our panelists will suggest and discuss as we go forward. So an overview, again, we will get their perspective. We will talk a little bit about the current state of homelessness in the Huntsville area within the last few years, as well as policies and solutions that they may be able to recommend. So some background information, just to make sure that we're all on the same page as far as definitions and things like that. According to HUD, we have a few different definitions of homelessness. We have those that may be literally homeless, in an imminent risk of homelessness, as well as homeless under other federal statutes, and those that may be fleeing a domestic violence situation. Excuse me. So according to HUD, the definition of homelessness is considered to be people that are living in places not meant for human habitation. I'm not gonna make you guys read all of this information, but things such as emergency shelter, transitional housing, permanent supportive housing, things like that, maybe places where in abandoned buildings, on the street, bus stop, places like that. These are some more definitions. Another person that may be considered homeless is someone that may not have relatives or support system that they may be able to lean on. And again, those that may be fleeing a domestic violence situation, a stalking situation, or life-threatening situation. We do have the Continuum of Care program. Basically, it is a program that promotes community-wide commitment to combat the state of homelessness. They get funding to help different agencies to provide food, they provide shelter, and whatever resources that our homeless population may need. They also do a point-in-time count every January, 1 week out of the year. They organize this basically point-in-time count where they go out into the streets and they basically count people that are in shelters. They also count the unsheltered every other year, just to make sure that we have an accurate count of the amount of people that are considered to be homeless. These are some of the service types that we have, just to explain some of the terms that you may see on the graphs a little bit later in the slide. We have the emergency shelter, which is a facility that provides temporary housing, the permanent supportive housing, which is a tenant-based housing assistance program. We also have transitional housing, which basically allows people to have a support system that will allow them to transition back into their own permanent housing. And unsheltered individuals are those that may not be in a place that, excuse me, a place that is considered a place for sleeping accommodation. These are some of the subpopulations that are counted when we count the homeless population. They are counted by gender, race, chronically homeless, if they're veterans, if they are victims of domestic violence, if they have kids, or if they do not have kids. Also, if they suffer from severe mental illness, or if they suffer with a chronic substance abuse problem. So when I looked at the numbers for the Alabama homeless rate, I chose the years 2014 through 2018, and I'm going to look at my notes so I can tell you the exact change that I show as far as the percent change. Between 2014 and 2015, there was about a 13% decrease in the number of homeless persons in the state of Alabama. Between 2015 to 2016, there was a slight increase of about 3.5%. Between 2016 and 2017, it was a little over 7.5% as far as on the decline. Between 2017 and 2018, it was a decline of a little over 9%. And overall, between 2014 and 2018, there was a decline of more than 24%. So breaking down the numbers by the Huntsville COC data, we can see that our numbers compared to Alabama, we can see that our numbers for Huntsville or the North Alabama area, they're a little bit different. For 2014 to 2015, there was a 21.6% decline. Between 2015 and 2016, there was about an 8% decline. Between 2016 and 2017, there was a slight increase overall of about 13.2%. And I'm sorry, let me make sure that we're looking at the same line. So this is the line here I'm going over. Basically, that tells us the total of the number of persons that were homeless within these years. And between 2017 2018, that was here, there's about a 2.7% decline. And then overall from 2014 to 2018, there was about a 21% decline in the number of homeless persons. I do not have the numbers up here for the U.S. overall, but I did calculate those numbers. For the same years, between 2014 and 15, there was a 2% increase. 15 to 16, there was over 2.5% increase. 16 to 17, it was just under 1%, as well as 2017 to 2018, it was under 1%, and overall between 2014 and 2018, there was about a 4% increase in the number of homeless persons throughout the U.S. and the U.S. territories. However, if we look back at the Huntsville numbers here, going across this, we can see that Huntsville, for whatever we're doing, what we'll find out here today, we are contributing positively to the decline in the number of homeless persons, because again, our overall decrease for 2014 to 2018 was about a 21% decrease in the number of homeless persons that we're contributing to our populations for Huntsville, Alabama, in the COCs here. And as we transition, I'm going to turn it over to the panelists. Just in case we do not remember their names, they are listed here. And again, a special thanks to each of you.
All right, hello, hello. I'm back and not missing up names since they're on the screen. Okay, so we're gonna start off with just you all briefly introducing yourselves, your current role in addressing homelessness within your agency, your organization, or your municipality. So I'm gonna give you all the mic.
Thank you. I'm Tim Davis. I'm the Executive Director at First Stop. Our program is based on 3 words. We encounter the homeless people where they are, in the streets and in the camps. We try to connect them with important and strategic services to solve whatever issues they have, and then we empower them into housing. Our definition of a house person is someone who's been housed and stayed there for 2 years. In First Stop, we think of us encounter, connect, and empower.
Good morning. My name is Terkesa Coleman Lacey. I am with Community Development, City of Huntsville. And with the City of Huntsville, I think our primary role is to support nonprofits that assist with homeless activities and figure out a way to leverage our funding with those agencies as well.
Danielle Thomas. I am the Director of Public Housing Operations for the Huntsville Housing Authority. Between our public housing program and our Housing Choice Voucher program, we provide affordable housing options to individuals living in the Huntsville-Madison County area who are low income, meaning they are living at 80% of AMI or below. We also have special programs in our Housing Choice Voucher program for veterans, which are, especially homeless veterans, people who are being served by the VA, and we also have partnerships with Wellstone and other community organizations to ensure that those that are in need and that are at risk of homelessness or that are homeless and also have special needs can be connected with us to provide them with stable and affordable housing and supportive services. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jeremy Blair. I'm the CEO of Wellstone, which is your community mental health center here in Madison County, and then we also serve Coleman County. We've got about 375 employees that are working on sometimes 7 days a week, reaching out to those who are suffering from mental illness. We serve about 13,000 clients a year, both in the Madison County area and the Coleman County. In Madison County, it's about 10,000. And in regards to the homeless population, we are one of 4 mental health centers in the state that receive federal funds. It's called the PATH grant, and that pays for a case manager. They go into the homeless camps, they partner with the shelters, and they'll work with them to identify people who may be suffering from mental illness, help them get help, and counseling and then medications. And so we do a lot of, I kind of think of it as we're kind of that hub. So we connect with the Housing Authority, we connect with First Stop, we connect with Downtown Rescue Mission, we connect with the Salvation Army. We're working with all our different partners and stakeholders to really come toward that common goal of addressing mental illness and homelessness. We have about 60 Shelter Plus apartments through our partnership with HUD, where we're identifying those folks who are homeless that we can then house, help them transition into more permanent housing. So that's one of the programs. We also have a very robust jail diversion program that is serving about almost 90 clients now, and that program is getting people out of jail who are on low-level offenses and getting them back into the community, getting them off the county's dime, because it costs about $70 a day to house somebody in the jail. A lot of that cost is medications. And so one of the things that we did with that was went and literally just bought 2 houses, because we quickly found out the barrier for them getting out of jail a lot of times was housing. And so we went in and worked on that. So I'm happy to be here and look forward to being with you today.
I'm Mike McDougall, and I'm running a transitional house for Growing in God's Grace Ministries, the name of it, and I'm actually housing homeless men, living with the men, showing them that they can make a difference, that they can change, that they can grow. We also help them find jobs, help them restore the relationships back with their families, and it's a new ministry that I've started. It's been probably been in existence about 7 months, so I'm trying to find the connections here. Also, I produce a TV show here called Positive Talk with Mike, and the guys are teaching me a lot. You know, it's a lot that goes on because anybody can be homeless. I think most of us probably are just 1 or 2 paychecks away from being homeless, and you can find yourself in that state with just a turn of your head. But I know that all the resources are here in Huntsville, and I'm here for a purpose to try to help men and women get back on their feet.
Thank you for those great introductions. We appreciate you all's service to our community. The panelist that was going to be with us, but she had another engagement that she had to do, was the director of the North Alabama Coalition of the Homeless. So we did introduce what a continuum of care program is, and so our continuum of care program, like overhead, will be the North Alabama Coalition of the Homeless. So the director was going to be with us, Miss Arnold. Yes. Miss Lennox, yes. So she was going to be with us, but she couldn't be with us today. I was supposed to look at the screen, so y'all can watch for me and talk to me. Okay. So, yeah, she was going to be with us, so she also answered some of the questions that we have. I'm not going to read those off as we continue to communicate and have this dialogue about solutions and services within Huntsville. And so the North Alabama Coalition of the Homeless, I know we said the MSA, and when we address it as that, we're talking about Morgan, Limestone, and Madison County. So that is what we're covering, and so that's why they kind of talked about more than just Huntsville. So that's what we mean when we say MSA. And so she was, so I introduced her, and she has been with the North Alabama Coalition of the Homeless since 2009. So our next question would be, what is the state of homelessness within this MSA? So we're talking about the 3 counties, Morgan, Madison, and Limestone. And what does it look like in the eyes of your agency/municipality, and i.e. rates of homelessness, subpopulation characteristics, crisis, or just urgent needs? So what is unique to this area that you see from your organization or just personally?
So when we think about homelessness, we tend to think about just street homeless. But I want us to start thinking about homeless in terms of a couple of categories. One is the at risk of being homeless, and I'm gonna get specifically to your question here in a second. Then I want us to think about that emergency shelter transitional piece, and then entail the extra street homeless. So one of the things that makes Huntsville unique, per se, in this homeless solution finding path is that we tend to have a lot of resources that are attractive to the transitional population. Be it jobs, be it a network of churches that assist heavily. Our nonprofits are stable. They're able to effectively transition folk from, in some cases, street homeless to, to be able to be able to afford affordable housing. So when we think about this spectrum of homelessness, I think that what we should really try to tackle is the at-risk piece first. With the street homeless, there could be several things that attribute to that, and most of that tends to be mental illness. And we are so thankful to be able to partner with Wellstone to help that particular population get into some type of housing. We preach housing, we preach shelter, we preach some things to get them out of the elements. We talked about our point-in-time count. Our numbers have increased this year, but that's with the trend of the increase of population in Huntsville. So, although we have the resources, that's our unique position, I think, in this particular deal. I think one of our measures that we're working towards is the connection of those resources. How do we start a family or individual in the bottom tier of that COC and move them through that COC seamlessly and allow them to be in a position where they can be sheltered or move towards some affordable housing. I hope I answered your question. I said a lot.
From the public housing authority, in terms of applications, when it comes to homelessness, we have had families who have fleeing domestic violence. We've seen a lot of single individuals, though, and people with mental illness coming and applying for public housing. Now, public housing is not supportive housing. Folks are expected to live independently and comply with the lease. And sometimes, due to the mental health challenges or cognitive limitations, that is not possible. So folks coming to us and we're unable to house them in the way that they need. So again, that's why we're glad that we have the partnership with Wellstone, but, and I know Jeremy can speak to this, the need is, I think, far exceeds exactly all the resources that you have right now. Like, I'm sure that if someone gave you $20 million tomorrow, there's a lot that you could do with that. Yes. So there really is a need, I think, for an increased number of permanent supportive housing for people with mental illness or disabilities cognitively. We also see a lot of people who are coming, as Teresa mentioned, coming from outside of Huntsville. We get a lot of calls and a lot of visits from folks who are like, I'm new to the area, someone told me that Huntsville takes care of its homeless, so I thought I'd come here too. Or people who are being dropped off by law enforcement from other communities to be here, but they're like, no, I know that there's churches here who will take care of me, I can get 3 square meals a day, and that's great. But again, Huntsville is still trying to, I think, find the best way forward using those resources, bringing them all together so that there isn't a duplication perhaps of services and people can get a streamlined go through that COC. So I think, again, the Housing Authority, veterans homelessness, I think we're tackling that a little bit better through our VASH program. That's the Veterans Assistance Supportive Housing Program. My colleague Paula Bingham is the Director of Assisted Housing, or the Section 8 program, and she would be better able to speak to that. But we have gotten, over the last few years, an increasing number of vouchers from the Department of Housing and Urban Development specifically for veterans homelessness, and I think that has helped significantly in lowering the incidence of homelessness in that population. But there's still a ways to go, and also individuals coming out of the criminal justice system. So folks who are recently released and so forth, the Housing Authority, we can take into account mitigating circumstances, or if someone has now perhaps turned a leaf or turned a corner, we can take that into consideration when it comes to housing someone. But there's times when the previous incident was so great that we can't house them. So that's another contributing issue as well. I don't know that I've answered any solutions, but I think that, again, resources coming together, organizations coming together, and minimizing the duplication of services might help in that regard.
In terms of, let me step back a minute and think a little bit. So we operate about 60 group home beds, supervised living kind of situations, whether it's group home or an apartment with staff on site. And we did that a few years ago where we converted a group home, or took some of our funding that was intended for a group home, where we could only serve about 10 folks, and converted that to apartments to where now we can serve 30. So we're trying to use the same dollars, a little bit more wiser, I guess, in some ways. But the challenges that we're having is when we closed a lot of our state hospitals back in 2014 or so, that increased the pressure on the community mental health system to now people that used to be coming from the community into your group homes, who maybe had aging parents or didn't have families to take care of them. Now our group home beds are pretty much all filled up with state hospital discharges. So because there's pressure on the state hospital to get folks out. So it just all kind of rolls downhill when you think about that system as a whole.
Of God, you were slain for my sins, a sacrifice, yes you were, to redeem all men. So my tears I shed.